Our current hero is the Mazda CX-5 crossover, and at one time I even visited its European premiere. Representatives of the company then quite rubbed their hands, anticipating a technological and market breakthrough, but their eyes were tired. Perhaps they are tired of explaining to skeptics that they do not break or spoil anything, but only improve it. Or that this is not at all the engine that can simultaneously run on gasoline, diesel, and singed vodka. Or that the Miller cycle is not the Atkinson cycle. As a result, behind the disputes about technology, the crossover itself quietly went into the background. But in vain. The CX-5, with the exception of some of its typical features, is very good, and as time has shown, it is still hardy and well built. For example, in 2018, TÜV ranked it third in its reliability rating for vehicles aged 4 to 5 years. Well, what about the Skyactiv motors? The first power unit that was installed on the Mazda CX-5 and assembled using Skyactiv technology was a 2-liter naturally aspirated gasoline engine converted from the popular MZR 2.0. The second is a 2.2-liter diesel engine. They were united by one thing: the same degree of compression, 14. That is, little for diesel and a lot for gasoline, and this is the essence of Skyactiv technology. This is an attempt to make a more efficient and environmentally friendly engine, without resorting to downsizing, turbines and hybrid units. I repeat once again, no matter how sorry it is, but a gasoline engine, despite the high compression ratio, will not work on a diesel engine and vice versa, but the octane number and quality of gasoline are extremely important for it. For the first couple of years, the CX-5 had a nasty, albeit harmless, feature. Sometimes a cold engine started only on the second or third attempt. That is, he started and immediately deaf. And so not once. This concerned only gasoline engines and only those that were officially sold in Russia. Mazda, supplied to Belarus and Ukraine, did not behave this way. The company officially announced the cause of bad gasoline, but there were cases when cunning servicemen secretly changed the firmware to a European one from the warranty managers, and the problem disappeared. And after a couple of years, she disappeared from all crossovers. It is possible, by the way, that Euro 5 category gasoline appeared at Russian gas stations, or the production of cars began in Vladivostok. Or maybe it just happened. In a word, apart from this unfortunate mistake, Skyactiv engines, at least 2-liter gasoline ones, did not mess themselves up with anything. Except for little things. Ignition coils are not the most reliable and do not like moisture. The plastic pulley of the drive belt tensioner of attachments can sing before the scheduled replacement period. By the way, the generator is quite weak, and if you drive a little and mostly in traffic jams, then do not be surprised at a discharged battery in winter. Both the 2-liter and 2.5-liter engines are equipped with a direct injection system with 6 jet injectors, which really do not like water and gasoline, not to mention solid impurities. They need to be serviced at least once every 150,000. Candles require no less attention, which experienced owners recommend changing with every third oil change and only with original and recommended ones. Ion sensors are built into the ignition coils, which help to avoid detonation in engines with Skyactiv. The diesel that was installed on the Mazda CX-5 somehow did not work. Maybe because the advertisement created an image of a deliberate sportiness of the car, or maybe the buyer was simply not ready. In addition, the efficiency of gasoline versions, which managed to consume 6.5 liters per 100 in highway mode, completely crossed out the need for heavy fuel. Nevertheless, diesel engines are found, and in the service too. In the first 2 years of production, an unpleasant defect surfaced in the premature wear of the exhaust camshaft. This caused the engine to stall. More often, fortunately, at idle. It was possible to determine the problem only with the help of instrumental diagnostics, that is, after partial disassembly of the motor. There were also complaints about the short-lived turbine, but these are rather slandered. But the real problem is oil leakage, especially through the upper timing sensor. There is no pressure indicator in the car. There is only a low-level indicator, and so low that for other engines it would lead to disaster. At Mazda, after topping up, everything returned to normal. It was like nothing happened. In addition, the vacuum pump and nozzle mounts were considered capricious. It was these two malfunctions that turned out to be fatal, as they led to oil starvation, and diesel was removed from Russian quotas. The crossover was produced in front and all-wheel drive versions, with 6-speed manual and automatic transmissions. The mechanics were installed exclusively on front-wheel drive cars, so we are not very interested in it. In addition, the automatic is more reliable, especially the GW series of the Eisen brand, which, alas, came only with a diesel engine. For gasoline Mazda, the FW6A EL transmission was intended. Also Eisen. Good, reliable, but not so hardy. With frequent driving with high loads, which included off-road, with slipping, and especially build-up, the reverse gear unit clutch quickly failed, clogging the oil channels with waste. The output shaft bearing, tightly fixed in the housing, could start to buzz, a very expensive replacement. Sometimes the selector limit switch was weird, and the gear indicator did not show anything. Active off-road driving quickly wore out the power takeoff seals, pillow blocks, and led to overheating of the four-wheel drive clutch, causing oil to leak, which further aggravated the situation. The Mazda CX-5 did not have any off-road assistance, even the forced inclusion of all-wheel drive. Is that the traction control system? What has proven itself from the best side is the suspension. Completely independent and seemingly not the most powerful, it has an enviable resource and is perfectly tuned. If there's anything sporting about the CX-5, besides looks, of course, it's in the suspension. Tie rods, which failed in the first year of production, have long been replaced by a service action. But the mileage of silent blocks for 200,000 kilometers without replacement is an obvious merit of the manufacturer. The suspension does not require any intervention at all in the first 100,000 run. After that, it all depends on the intensity of operation and the quality of the roads. The only thing you need to look after is the condition of the steering rack covers. It is easy to damage them, and replacing the assembly is expensive. The shortcomings that almost everyone notes are typical Japanese sensitivity to small bumps and noise coming from the rear arches. What the Mazda CX-5 captivates in the first place is the equipment and quality of the interior. The front seats are very comfortable, and all comfort systems work flawlessly for years. Among other things, these Mazda put the Bose audio system. Of course, not the level of high-end, but very decent. The only real problem that owners face is the unstable operation of the start-stop system. However, taking into account the fact that it is completely turned off in our country, it is not clear whether this should be attributed to shortcomings. But any other recurring failures in electrical equipment should cause the owner to pay attention to possible signs of a major repair. Well, or a dead battery that does not fully charge on short trips, especially in winter. The second row of seats can also disappoint. A flat vertical back, a short pillow, and a high floor do not favor long runs. Tall passengers will not feel too comfortable. But the materials are wear-resistant and do not lose their appearance for a very long time. The biggest problem for owners of the Mazda CX-5 may be the already familiar Japanese weakness of the paintwork. It seems that the paint is scratched even in the air. There is no particular point in polishing, except to immediately cover it with some kind of liquid glass. Although, given the dirt on the roads, this will not lead to anything. There was a batch of cars in which the inside of the light block was covered with a whitish coating. It did not take place as a promotion, but dealers changed polycarbonate under warranty without talking. Failures of power windows, locks, and other things are extremely rare and do not contain signs of consistency. The bulbs do not burn out, and the smart headlights that appeared after restyling work reliably. In the Russian market, prices for the Mazda CX-5 start at 700,000 rubles for a 2-liter all-wheel drive version. After restyling in 2014, cars have risen in price noticeably, and even today their cost can reach $1.5 million. This is no longer so interesting, given that a new generation came out in 2017, which did not go that far in price. As for the choice of versions, 5 2-liter ones account for one with a 2.5-liter engine. Moreover, they almost do not differ in price, and you can choose based solely on the expected loads and the calculation of efficiency. 2-liter consumption is much less. Are the skeptics who predicted the new crossovers and Skyactiv technology from the strength of 100,000 resource a shame? Undoubtedly. Mazda CX-5 proved to be a very reliable and comfortable car. But let's be realistic, you should not expect a 500,000 mileage without overhaul from motors with such characteristics.